All right. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Due to the governor's statewide disaster declaration relating to the COVID-19 pandemic and current public health guidelines for social distancing, I've determined that it's not prudent for the members of the village board or staff to convene in person for tonight's meeting. Therefore, the members of the village board are attending this meeting by video conference. Those same conditions requiring barring access to the public for in-person attendance. In light of those limitations, the public's invited to attend and listen to the meeting through the Zoom platform or by phone as indicated on the meeting agenda. To comply with the Open Meetings Act requirements for virtual meetings, tonight's meeting is being recorded. Village Clerk Gayton, if I could ask you to take attendance and make sure everyone can be heard.
Trustee Brasky, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Hello. Trustee Kritzmeyer, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Excellent. Trustee O'Reilly, can you hear me? Is
Are you
she
muted?
here?
Rita, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here.
I thought it was O'Reilly.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought
yes,
you
I
guys
was.
I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, okay, excellent. Trustee Nora,
He resigned.
Yeah, he's not here. So, yep.
he's not. Okay. Trustee O'Connor, I already heard that you can hear me and I can hear you.
Yes,
Want to say something just to make sure again?
I'm here. I can hear you.
What about Jenny? Did you get
Trustee
Jenny?
Micho.
Yeah.
Nope. Trustee Micho.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can.
I sure can. Excellent.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
I
to
pledge
the flag
allegiance
Flag.
to the flag
of the United States
of
of
the
America,
United States of America,
to
and
the
to
to
republic
the republic
for which it
which
for
stands,
which it stands,
one nation,
One nation,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty.
liberty,
with liberty
and justice for all.
and justice for all.
All right, welcome. Hopefully at some point in time, we're getting closer to being able to meet in person. So it's great that everything's opening up and COVID rates are going down, and I think blue skies are ahead of us here. On the agenda, the first thing we have is the Homeowners Association visitors. Highland Pines, is Alicia Magnifico here?
Yeah, hi, Alicia Magnifico. I am the current president of the Highland Pines Homeowners Association. I had taken over that duty shortly before the pandemic hit, so and the rest of our board is new as well. So it's been an interesting time to figure things out for our neighborhood on our end. The two biggest problems that we've had over the last year and a half are that early on in the pandemic, we started having some major mail theft, and all of our mailboxes are at the entrance to the neighborhood. So that was a challenge. And the second is that we lost power, all the power for our entryway based on an underground cut in the ComEd line. And John, I believe I'd emailed with you and several people as I was trying to figure that out. And I tried looking into solar options for up there. We thought it would be great to go green if we could, since we had to fix that. But unfortunately, just based on the space constraints at the entrance to our neighborhood and all of that, it wasn't a feasible solution that would ensure power for us out there, even in the winter months. So we had to go back to traditional power and get that restored. So those have been the biggest things we've been dealing with. And then I guess my question that I don't know if it's something that any of you can help with or connect me with another HOA, but our bylaws and covenants are very outdated. They still talk about giving notices to our residents via telegraph and things like that. And they're typed up obviously like on a typewriter with handwritten notes, and there's a lot of extra stuff in there that still refers to the developer and things like that. We've had so many new families move in, especially in the last couple of years. And I get a lot of questions from people because nobody seems to have easy access to them, even though they get, the paper copy when they close, and nobody can understand them. So we're trying to look to just revamp them, and I don't know if you know of any other neighborhoods that have done that, that you could connect us with as we try to work through that.
Yeah, it's, we did not have an HOA president's meeting this year, and I'm hoping that we can do one later yet this year. We had it every year in the spring, and we bring everyone together, and that would have been a perfect question for them. We do have a distribution list that we could probably pose that question out there, and, make you a part of that. But I would ask, interim manager Balling, or maybe even Vic Filippini, our village attorney, if he has some thoughts on that from a, covenants perspective. I'm sure we can share ours, I suppose, that I have in my HOA as a former HOA president.
Well, there are certainly many attorneys that specialize in that, and they can be helpful as far as that goes. You may want to think about what you want to have in your covenants before you retain anyone, and perhaps looking at the covenants of other subdivisions and HOAs will be helpful. So I know that, Bill, you had mentioned that there are the occasional meetings of the HOA presidents. That might be a good place to seek out some examples for that group.
At least you can, so that you don't, put it out here on the call, but do you have my email? Would you mind sending me yours so I have it?
Sure. Yeah, I can send it. And we have spoken to some attorneys, and we have gone through everything ourselves. So we do know what things we're looking to update, but it would just be great to see other examples that, so yeah.
Since we're probably not sharing nuclear secrets, why can't they have 3 or 4 of names of like HOAs?
Oh, what I was just going to do is just.
May I say
we have
something?
yeah, hold on a second. You can't hear.
Thank
We
you.
have a mailing list. I was just going to send a note to it and add her to it, right? From the HOA meeting, and then hopefully people will reply.
So I did attend the meeting, not last year, but
Oh,
the
the one before
year
you did.
before,
Yeah.
the one right after, a few months after I had taken over this role. So I know I did put my name down, but I definitely haven't received anything. So I will send you my
Okay.
email for sure.
Eric, go ahead. You had something.
Thank you, and I apologize for interrupting. I'm president of the Fields of Long Grove. Yes, our covenants and bylaws are outdated as well. We have had amendments. We do use a law firm that specializes in working with HOAs. They are actually having a seminar tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow night, and I can certainly forward you that link if you would like to log on.
Sure.
I don't know if I'm allowed to give that name of that law firm in this open forum, but they are pretty well known in the local area for helping out homeowners.
I don't know why you can't give it. So
Will
It's
not listen.
It's Covert, Schiffman, and Nesbitt, and they specialize in working with homeowner associations, and we've just used them because we had a special assessment situation, and they've been very, very good and helpful. And you can also Google, which I did. They're basically boilerplate covenants that are written. So you can Google that, and I agree with whoever said, as you go forward, you retain a law firm, but get together a committee. What do you want? What rules do you want changed? There's a lot of things that are antiquated because of technology today that are different. We happen to host our covenants and bylaws on our webpage, so it's easily accessible for everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Our neighborhood had no real form of communication, no anything when we started this. So we've been working on that as well, just even getting a directory and regular communication with the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
those
If you
are,
hold on 1 second, I will tell you. This is a free webinar for community associations. And it is being hosted tomorrow. I can tell you May 26th at 6:30 to 7:30. And you know, if you put in the chat line your email,
sure,
I can send you the link.
sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Blish, anything else?
Yeah, our chat's not, our chat's
oh,
not
yeah.
activated, Bill.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's not activated. Okay. Is that,
Um,
just for legal reasons, I guess. Got it. I think, right, Denise? Vic, yeah, okay.
I think if you probably Google it, it'll come up.
Well, if you can send it to me, or that would be great, and I can get it to Alicia. So
Yes,
that'd be
I
awesome.
can, yes, I can do that.
Alicia, anything else for us tonight?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks for doing what you're doing. We appreciate it. Really do.
Thank you.
All right, Eric, you're up next. I think you're already up, actually.
Well, thank you very much again. And I've been president for about the last 10, 11 months for the fields. And, you know, I've got a couple questions. But right now, I guess our biggest concern is North Kruger Road. They're starting to work on it. And a lot of the construction vehicles are parked at the entrance of Farmwood and North Kruger, where we turn in and out. It's very hard to see around. A little bit concerned about having an accident. I don't know if the village can do anything to say, hey, don't park, you know, right at that entrance. Give us a little space. When
Hey,
they
Jeff.
actually start,
Yeah.
when they actually start paving the roads, we are concerned about some traffic trying to detour. We are also going to be repaving our roads later this summer using the same contractor that the village is using. You know, we do have an on-site property manager who's doing a great job. To that point, our covenants are dated a little bit, and you know, right now, you know, we've got the little nitpicking things that every association has, but you know, overall, I think things are working pretty good. What do other associations do that have private roads? And I'm going to ask the village for snow plowing. I mean, right now we hire private contractors. Is there any thought about the village doing our, not the private driveways, but just the roads, or any ideas who other associations use for contractors?
Yeah, so let me, there's two questions there. One, and I want Jeff to address it, which is contractors parking on your driveway or on your entryway, and then where they're supposed to park or not park, right? And then the second thing is, I know that that's one of the topics we did talk about in the HOA meetings. We use, in our HOA, we use Countryside as the folks we use for snow plowing, but I think there's a variety of different companies that the HOAs are using based on the comfort factor they have with them. You know, that's somebody. Acres is another one that's used a lot. I know, but go back to Jeff. If you could answer that, you know, address we had the open house for the North Kruger. Can you address the parking? Because I don't think they're supposed to park there, right? The contractors.
Yeah. Hi, Eric. This is Jeff.
Hi.
I'm the village engineer. So at the open house that we had for the project, we talked about the construction worker cars would be parked alongside of the road and wouldn't be allowed on the private streets.
They're
And a
not
few
on the
times-
private street. They're
Okay.
not on the private streets.
Good.
They're in North
Yep.
Kruger, but they're parked right at the entrance.
Yeah,
on
so,
Kruger, and you can't see left or right.
okay. Yeah, that's certainly something we can get addressed, because if the sight lines aren't there for you to safely turn, that's not a good thing either. So
Thank you.
I'll send the notice off right now.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, and I'll circle back. We do need to bring the HOA presidents together. I'd like to do that in person, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that, maybe in the middle of the summer here as we're able to, get out about now with the COVID rates being down and everyone being vaccinated. So that's my plan. I do want to do that. Now, these would be great topics to be able to discuss with your peers.
Thank you.
Eric, anything else?
Said, any advice you can give? I don't know. Again, this is the first time I'm attending. I'm not sure if it was more listening, from my end, or you listening from us. So, as I said, this is my first time attending, this forum. So I'm happy to attend it, and thank you for hosting it.
No, thanks for being here. What we typically do is give the opportunity for HOA presidents to come before the board and, bring up concerns that you might have. And we do this, different a set of HOA presidents at every meeting. It's just something that we've done. And, we appreciate your service. It's something that is unique about Long Grove. With private roads and things like that, snow removal, you have a lot of unique responsibilities that are different
Yes.
than other subdivisions and other communities. So we thank you for doing what you're doing. And, hopefully we'll have that meeting soon too. That'll be great for you, since you've been in the role about 10 months, I'm sure.
And I would really like to have that, because I'd like to know what the other associations do as opposed in regards to plowing private driveways.
Yep, absolutely, Eric, and thank you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. We have two trustees that were not at the last meeting that we need to swear in and conduct their oath of office. That would be Trustee Kritzmeyer and Trustee O'Reilly. And I can, if you want to, I can swear you in, and I can do that right now if you're ready.
Sure.
All right. If you could repeat after me. I, Ann Kritzmeyer, do solemnly swear
I, Ann Kritzmeyer, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the trustee of the Village of Long Grove
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of a trustee of the Village of Long Grove,
Illinois, to the best of my ability.
Long Grove, Illinois, to the best of my ability.
I stopped at the wrong point there. Congratulations. You're sworn in.
Thank you.
Okay, Trustee O'Reilly, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. I, Bobby O'Reilly, do solemnly swear
I, Bobby O'Reilly, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the trustee of the Village of Long Grove, Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of trustee of the Village of Long Grove, Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
All right, congratulations, you're sworn in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if we have anyone here from the Lake County Sheriff or the fire departments. I don't believe we do tonight. If not, I'm going to keep us moving. The next item on the agenda is consideration of an ordinance amending the intergovernmental agreement establishing the solid waste agency of Lake County, Illinois. This is something that Chris brought to us, Trustee Borowski brought to us a few meetings ago. And there was an amendment being requested that would allow an alternate director to be appointed. And I don't know if Chris, if you wanted to say any more about that or not, but you have a resolution in front of you to approve that, we discussed a few weeks ago.
No, Bill, no other comments really, just to clarify, just so that a municipality can appoint a current non-elected official to be the representative of SWALCO. So it just gives municipalities more flexibility, really.
Any concerns, any discussion? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
No, I'll move to approve the ordinance amending the intergovernmental agreement.
Moved by trustee Borowski,
Second,
seconded by trustee O'Reilly. Amy, that would be a roll call.
Trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
aye.
trustee O'Connor.
Aye.
And trustee Michaud.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is appointment of the Illinois 83 Downtown TIF Joint Review Board. We need to appoint every year. We need to do a joint review board. Trustee Kritzmeyer has been chairing that meeting. And then we also need to have a member at large, and we've asked Rich Tourette to be that member at large. So I don't know if there's any discussion. It's something we have to do, and we've had them chair this meeting the last several times, and I would be looking for your support or in a motion to approve their appointment.
So moved.
Moved by trustee O'Connor,
Yeah, I'll
Second.
second that.
seconded by trustee Borowski. Roll call, please.
Trustee Michaud,
Aye.
trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye, I guess.
and trustee Borowski.
Aye, and thank you for volunteering.
Yes, thank you very much for volunteering. Motion carried. All right, is the village prosecutor here tonight?
Yes, Mr. Lalazan is present and to
Do you want to
appear
set
for
this
the.
up?
Yeah, yes, I am, Mr. President.
Great. Basically, the ask was, the village board is very curious about all the different things that you do for us. And so the ask was to maybe have you kind of take us through the things that you do for the village. I know trustee Kritzmeyer had some pretty specific questions, but maybe the best thing to do is to just get started and just explain a little bit more about what you do for us on our behalf.
Sure. Well, we have a private law firm. It's Lawler, Zern and Smith. Originally, in I think 2005, we were appointed as the village prosecutor. It was Smith and Lawler Zern at the time. Charles Smith, my former partner, became a judge about 5 years ago, so I'm now the head of the firm. We do a variety of things for the village as requested. Our number one responsibility each month is to attend traffic court in the Mundelein Branch Court, which is the first Wednesday afternoon of each month. All the tickets are written by the Lake County Sheriff's Office to the Mundelein Branch Court. I've done a lot of work with Jim Hogue in code enforcement over the years, whether it be simple things about trailers being parked on property, garbage and debris, things like that. We've had some demolition cases. We just finished up, actually we did two last year, one over on Cuba and one over on Route 83, which is in the last couple of weeks that we represented the village on. We work with Vic Filippini on some matters where both of our areas of expertise are required to address issues. And we just prosecute ordinance violations, whether they be building code, zoning code, or traffic matters for the village.
Should we go, Ann, do we want to look at some of your questions that you asked?
I don't know. I basically, I was just sort of trying to understand the workflow. First is, I know it's it's a retainer. What is the scope of that? How is that described, and what kind of hours?
Well, the retainer that we have set forth in our monthly bill is mainly for branch court prosecution for the traffic matters and anything that's handled in the Mundelein branch court. If we have DUI cases or other cases which are in the main courthouse, those are billed on an hourly rate. We coordinate with the Lake County Sheriff's Office to obtain police reports and crash reports for accidents, to notify witnesses for traffic court. And again, I've worked directly with the village manager on issues. I've worked with Jim Hogue on issues. And, we do what we're asked to do from that standpoint. Sometimes it's been not quite all prosecution matters, but if we've got some area of expertise that we can assist the village in, we lend our hand there.
And then again, I was just, because I really haven't had any exposure to all of this, like, what does success look like? And how do you report that out?
I'm sorry, what does success look like?
How would you describe it?
Well, we prosecute the tickets that are written. So depending on, the volume of tickets that the sheriff's office writes, I guess our success is successfully prosecuting cases, resolving cases so that people are found guilty after they've committed a traffic violation or ordinance violation, collecting fines for those violations. In some cases, we've had to put liens on residents' property where we've gotten fines and they haven't paid the judgments, or they haven't paid the fines, so we go for a judgment against them. Some of those cases, but they don't get paid off right away. Some of those liens may be on the property until they're sold, until the property's sold. But we've tried to recover our costs and the fines that the court has adjudicated against those properties.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of this came from, all the notoriety we've had around the bridge. And, there's urban legend and myth and so forth. I mean, how often if our bridge is getting hit, how often are you prosecuting on that? And how often are we successful?
Well, so far we've had 100% success rate on that. I've been prosecuting violations of the bridge issue before it was getting hit. When we were first hired, when we were interviewing with Dave Ludspike, he made it very clear that, the bridge is a sacred item in the village, and they look to have strict enforcement for the violations, whether they be the weight violations or the no truck violations, stuff like that. So we've always taken a very strict stance on that. As far as the bridge cases that we've had, since it was reopened, every single individual has either pled guilty or been found guilty of doing that. And most of these cases involve multiple violations, one being maybe failing to reduce speed to avoid the accident of striking the bridge, disobeying the sign for over height, disobeying the sign for no trucks. And we've not been negotiating those down to, lesser fines or lesser offenses. Sometimes the judge has found that that particular instance may have been charged twice the same way. And so he may have dismissed one of the cases, but we've asked for the maximum fines in each case that we have prosecuted. And in most cases, at least, or I should say in all cases, we've gotten at least max fine in one of the tickets, and the judge has usually given them a lesser fine on some of the subsequent tickets or the companion tickets that they've gotten. But no, we've won every single case with the bridge being struck since it reopened.
Thank you, because I think that would be something to communicate quite a bit. So I'm sure my other fellow trustees have other questions.
Sure.
Bobby, go ahead.
I'm so glad you're here this evening. I started asking about you a year and a half ago, and nobody could answer who you were, what you did, who you reported to, what's the income? What's the expense? Nobody could really answer those questions. So it's been a long road getting you here and clearing up the many questions that I have about what you do. Something that you said is very confusing to me at this point, because I understood that speeding tickets were the county's business, that the county prosecuted those. Is that correct?
No, no. The village has a contract with the sheriff's office to do traffic enforcement, and I don't know the specifics of how many days or hours a week they're dedicated to. There's usually, we have 2 court calls on each monthly call, one at 1:30, one at 3 o'clock, and there's usually a dedicated officer that writes for the 1:30 call, and then there's a dedicated deputy that writes for the 3 o'clock call. Oftentimes, other deputies assist and write tickets, whether there be, maybe there's an enforcement issue in the neighborhood for stop signs, for instance, or speed limit, or accidents that may have been taken, and then they write them into the branch court there. In terms of, so yes, the Lake County Sheriff's Office are writing the tickets, but they're writing them as village ordinances. So they come to the court under the Long Grove ordinance court date, and I prosecute those, and my office prosecutes those for the village. Sometimes there's DUI arrests that are made by the sheriff's office if they occur in Long Grove in the village limits. Sometimes we write those. Sometimes the state's attorney's office handles those. But routine traffic tickets that are written by the sheriff's office for under the contract with the village are prosecuted by our office in the Mundelein Branch Court.
Okay, so what's the income and what's the expense on an annual basis?
I don't have the annual income, what that generates. It's really all based on the number of tickets that are written. We've had months when there's, over 100, 150 people that have been in court, and I'm going back to pre-COVID when we actually were showing up in court in Mundelein. Sometimes there's very few tickets, and it depends on, the tickets that are written. Our expenses, as far as like who we report to, we have always sent our monthly statement to the village manager. We have a $750 retainer, which covers, the basic branch court stuff, and anything else besides that would get billed separately.
Because I've seen a couple of your invoices, and boy, there's not 100 prosecutions there. So I'm really confused now.
Oh, no, let me clarify that. So our retainer is for branch court. So our retainer is for that one day to go out all afternoon and prosecute for the village. We don't itemize each case that is handled that particular day. You would have to talk to the clerk of the circuit court. I believe they transmit on a monthly basis all the fines that they've received on behalf of tickets issued by the sheriff's office for the village of Long Grove. So the only thing that we itemize on our bill would be items that are non-traffic, I should say DUIs are itemized, and then code enforcement is itemized. The retainer is all the traffic. So, if we have 300 cases, our retainer is the same. If we have 50 cases, the retainer is the same. But we don't itemize and bill the village separately for each particular case out in Mundelein.
Okay, when you say that you've got 100% success rate with the bridge enforcement, that's all 14 hits?
All the ones that have come to court, yeah. I don't, there may be some that are still pending that haven't been resolved, but every case that's been up, they've either pled guilty or been found guilty at trial.
Well, is it, if there's been 14, how many have you prosecuted or settled with?
Well, I think there's a couple that are still pending. So
okay, so 10?
Probably between 10 and 12, and they've all they've either pled guilty or a couple people had trials and they were found guilty. of
So
one.
did you prosecute a trial over a bridgehead?
Yes, I have. Couple of trials.
Wow, that's so interesting, and we know nothing. We know nothing of that.
Well, there is a public link or public access component to the branch courts or all the courts in the county. If you go to the 19th Judicial Circuit website, in addition to the Zoom link for the people that got tickets and need to appear on the Zoom call, there's a public access. It was originally on YouTube, but they were having problems with security. So I forget what the name is, called live stream or something, but anybody can, check in on the trials and it's, not a
Yeah,
lot.
we tried it. We tried it on one of them, one of the bridge hits, and we just couldn't get in. But
Well, I should say, I know on the public access, you shouldn't have had a problem. If you were trying to sign in on the Zoom call for the court.
No.
Yeah, okay. I know they were having problems. They weren't letting people in if they weren't a defendant. So
So who do you report to?
Village manager.
Okay, and do you have an annual contract or a renewable contract or?
I believe we gave the village an engagement letter back in 2005, and it's just kind of been renewed.
That's a nice contract. Well, thank you so much for being here. Unfortunately, it's caused more questions for me than I had hoped to get. But thank you so much for being here.
Sure, I'm happy to answer your questions.
All right, any other questions? If not, thanks for being here, and you helped us understand the mystery that we were all unsure of what you all did. So thank you. And you're a real person too.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And if anybody else has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to answer those.
Thank you very
Larry. Thanks
much.
for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, the next item is the consideration of ordinance rezoning certain property to the R2 district, amending the special use permit for a plan unit development and approving a preliminary plan unit development plat and plans and preliminary plat for the a re-subdivision of the Phillips Estates plan unit development. That's a lot. We deferred this last week because we needed a super majority. I'm not sure who's best to introduce this, some of the changes that were made. I don't know if that's you, Vic, or.
Let me try to address the changes. You may recall that this was before the board. I think it was in late March, maybe it was early April, but some meetings ago. And there was some conversation about whether the public benefit for this particular subdivision was sufficient. And there was also further discussion about the pathways in the village and how they interacted with this property. A couple of changes resulted to the ordinance from that. One, there had originally been in the draft I'll call it a sleeping provision regarding the dedication of the pathways.
I didn't understand that word. Did you say sleeping?
Yes, it wasn't originally going to take effect until some later point in time and later board action. So it was basically there, but asleep and not active.
Okay.
It's been changed to an active provision. So the dedications would occur in the ordinary course when dedications are ready to be made, and it wouldn't be deferred. A second change had to do with the pathways. The developer did consider whether or not there could be something additionally done, and they ultimately did make the offer to make a contribution to the pathway funds for the village. And the contribution, I'm going to have to do my math to get you the final number. The final number ends up being 107,000. But
107, yeah.
Yeah, it's staged so that there would be an upfront payment at the time of final plat. And that amount would be $50,000. And then for each of the 19 lots, at the time of issuance of a certificate of occupancy, another $3,000 would be contributed. So that was the primary other difference. Now, over the weekend, there was one grammatical tweak that we made to the ordinance at the suggestion of the Plan Commission chair. I noted that that did not get incorporated into the Dropbox, but the change appears in one of the recitals on page 5. It had said, this would be the second full recital on page 5. It had said, following the PCZBA recommendation, the applicant has offered to contribute $107,000. We changed that to after the PCZBA recommendation, just to make it more clearly a temporal relationship and not a substantive one. So I think that with that, those are the changes that have occurred since the board had its last significant discussion about this ordinance. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
I had one which may be for Jeff. I think we had talked about the updated stormwater requirements for retention and so forth in lieu of, changing that. Since on page 6 under section 3, all of the previous approvals are vacated, does that restart then for this purpose? Am I making sense?
I'll answer it that they're following all of the new rainfall data.
Okay.
For this project.
Thank you. That's kind of my question. Thank you.
Yep.
Jeff, is that the Phil 50?
No, they have not requested Phil 50 for this project.
I think though, if your question, Rita, is whether that is the standard that we just approved earlier this year, yes, the answer is that. Correct, Jeff?
So Phil 50 is an active program, but this project has not requested to be in that. So they're going to design and provide stormwater detention up to the proverbial 100-year, 24-hour storm.
But this is on the updated 100-year storm figures, not the ones that had been, right. That's, I think that might have been.
That was my question.
Right.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, thank you.
The other question is then there seems to be something squishy about capping the square footage on floor area, and we got a memo from Jim.
Yes, I can speak to that. This is Jim. Bobby had actually asked that this be looked into a little bit further. To put it very simply, there are two options. Number one, you could let the ordinance take its course, and you would be looking at floor areas between roughly 8,500 square feet and 9,000 square feet. The caveat that I would put on that is, while they're allowable, they may not be attainable. You have building height, you have lot coverage, you have other regulations that go into how the ultimate size of a house. So just because it's allowable doesn't mean it's attainable. If you're looking for a number, most of the lots would start at 5,500 square feet per the formulas that are built into our zoning code. My recommendation would be that if you're looking for a number, you use 5,500. Number one, it seems to be in conformance with what the market is telling us right now. Number two, it seems to be within the expectations of what the developer is looking for out of the development. And number three, it's the bottom starting point, if you will, for FARs or floor areas for most of the lots that are in the development. So those are your two options. Either just let the code go, or if you need a number, I would suggest 5,500 square feet. I don't know if the developer is here tonight, but if they have a response to that number.
They're here.
Yeah, then I would see if they have a problem with that or not.
Bobby, are you looking for putting a cap in that is out, that it doesn't exist in the
No, I was
code right now?
merely asking as point of information.
Gotcha. I mean, I don't know that we need to add it myself, but others may have different opinion.
Is there a minimum square footage requirement, Jim, or is that left up to the HOA?
The village does not have a minimum square footage for houses. Some HOAs, as you note, do have minimums that they require, but we do not. The formulas that you have in here or that I put in my memo is what the village code says regarding floor areas. So, no, we do not have a minimum.
Will the developer have a minimum in your codes?
Well, that would be up to the developer. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's
David, I'm
okay.
sorry.
And this is David Shaw. I'm the attorney for the developer. We will have a minimum. It'll probably be in the area of 3,000 square feet, I believe. But it would also depend on whether this would be a ranch or a two-story structure. We would prefer not to have a maximum and just go with the ordinance. But if the village feels that the maximum number of square feet is appropriate for this development, we could live with it.
I don't know that we need to solve a problem that doesn't seem to exist yet.
No, I
Our
would agree.
ordinances cover a whole lot of other things.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with not stating a maximum square footage. I mean, these are basically 2-acre parcels, sort of, mostly. And
Not quite.
well, I understand. I would think though that people purchasing land would be looking for a minimum square footage requirement. If I'm, for example, I'm going to build a 4,000 square foot house, I'd question if my neighbor was going to build an 1,800 square foot ranch in the, next to me or whatever. And that's just because that's what people pay attention to.
Yeah, but wouldn't the market value of the property, the actual land itself dictate that? No one's going to build a really small house on a lot that costs whatever, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
one would think, yeah.
it'll care for itself. Yeah.
Usually the HOA dictates that, when they come up with their covenants and their rules and regs.
Though I asked the question, I think the marketplace generally takes care of itself in an area like this. And these are not stupid people, nor will the buyers of the property be stupid people. So I would kind of let them decide what's going to work for them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It was just a question.
Any other comments from the trustees?
I have to admit before we vote for this that I am going to vote against it. And I am going to do so not because of the project itself, but because Long Grove used to have a terrible reputation as being someone or some entity that was very difficult to work with. And I think that this you use the term offer, Vic, that's a loose term in this instance, that they offered to do this, do the 50,000 and then the per lot. I think it sets a bad precedent. I think it sends a bad message to future developers that we will wait until the last minute and then hold up your arms, guys, because we're gonna make you pay now. So I disagree with that terribly.
So let me ask if that was removed.
I think you're going to have a good product if you go forward. But I can't endorse it.
If that was removed, would you vote for it?
Yes.
Okay.
For clarification, then, in the draft ordinance, the provision on the floor area ratio will be deleting the entirety of the bracketed portion. That's my understanding.
Yes.
Any other comments from the board? Chris, you went on off mute and are you going to say something?
Well, I think horse trading has been has been done behind closed doors for a number of years with developers. I think unfortunately this particular horse trade was done in an open meeting instead of behind closed doors, but it's not uncommon for developers to help the village in some of its other needs, like donation of property for like the Lemon Hill ball fields. And there's been bonuses granted as a result of those kind of trade-offs that have been agreed to. So in this particular case, maybe the procedure was a little bit off kilter, but I think if a developer has made this offer that is acceptable, I'm fully for it. So, you know, I'd just go ahead and make the motion to approve this ordinance.
Okay, that was
And I would second it.
moved by trustee Borowski, seconded by trustee Kritzmeyer. That's a roll call, Amy?
Trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Aye.
trustee O'Reilly,
No.
trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
and trustee Michaud.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving along. I also tabled this one last week too. This was a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement for the installation of buffer planting at the Buffalo Creek Forest Preserve and rescinding the approval of the prior agreement relating to the Buffalo Creek Preserve. It's interesting because, you know, back on October 28th, we approved the intergovernmental agreement with the county to add screening to the Buffalo Creek Preserve. You know, it took them all the way till, I think, Vic, April for them to respond, right? So it was really at the end of April. You know, I tabled it because we didn't have a full board. You know, last week or 2 weeks ago, Vic reviewed the changes that were made to the agreement. One of the things was that they wanted 95% of the payment up front at contract signing, the balance due after acceptance. And so the CCE, the Country Club of States Homeowners Association, has no change, no concerns with that change. They'll be glad to do that. The other thing that they did was they added a 1-year warranty, and you know, basically that they'll do all the watering, and then after that, then there's no real remediation period. You know, anything that we can do after that period if something dies. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm choking here. I don't have COVID. They took out the parking and that we had in there. We had a parking easement, and they took that out as well. I had subsequent conversations, and I even talked to Vic today, and I even talked to Mara. Mara Altenberg is the Lake County board member that's really taken control of this to try to pull this together and make something happen. And so today I thought we had an agreement, which we actually did amend the agreement to deal with the warranty piece, where we put an innocuous provision in the contract that would, you know, if in the event that, you know, after the 1-year period, there was an issue with the plants, that we would agree to discuss how to resolve it, right? And of course, we, per the exact language that they gave us, Vic put it in the agreement and then sent it over to the attorneys for the county, and that attorney, I guess he was decided that was too open-ended and wanted to do something different. So the other thing that's still open is the parking, but it sounds like the manager of the Forest Reserves, his name is Ty, is interested in working with us on this. The parking has become a major problem for the village, as you know, and they've even noted that there's been tickets being issued by us because of the parking problem. So they are planning to meet with us again to look at that area near the entrance to the soccer field to see if that's something that could be converted into incremental parking. Their reason for not wanting to deal with the parking is they don't want to incur any additional costs. And the way I was looking at it is the parking would be minimal. It could be gravel for all I care, it's just a place for cars to park and not on the street or not in the temple parking lot, et cetera, or not in front of people's houses. So, in order to get this done, by the way, it won't be done till next spring. They're on a timeline, and there is some desire, because it has to go through the Lake County Board, for us to potentially approve it tonight with in our resolution having the agreement that we will work through the two remaining items, making sure we have some kind of a warranty in place, provision after the warranty expires. So if trees die, we just have an agreement, because it's not our property, that we'll figure out somehow to get them replaced after the warranty period, if it happens. And then secondly, an agreement that they will consider working with us on the parking and come to some solution for that. So I'll stop there. Hopefully that made sense. And Vic, if I didn't accurately capture that, please let me know too as well.
I had a question. It seems to me that there's no mulching to be done of the planting, which seems to be counterintuitive to me if we want them to last more than a year. Did I miss something, or is that correct? There will be no mulching of the plantings.
The specifics of the contract, I don't think get that granular, Jenny. I think that they simply say that they will handle the planting and buy the materials with a contribution from the village as to the village and Country Club Estates to defray some of that cost. But the specs that you would often find in the contract itself are not in this intergovernmental agreement. They would be with the contractors who are going to do the installation work, I would presume. But the agreement's silent as to that.
Actually, I'm going to disagree with you. The district is not required to procure or deliver mulch or any other non-plant materials that will be part of the supplemental planting. That was on page 3 under number 1. And I think it's really important, if you're going to be planting trees and you're only going to be watering them 4 times, we should make it clear that mulching would be imperative.
Yeah, there are 3 parties here, the village, and we're contributing money for the plant material. The Forest Preserve District, which is acquiring the plant material, and the County Division of Transportation, which is installing it. I think that the mulching would be part of the installation, but the district doesn't have any obligation to deliver that. That was sort of the division of labor between them. Now, you are correct that it's not addressed, but I don't think that sentence absolutely means it won't happen, because typically, at least as I understand it, and you probably have a better handle on this, the landscaper that's going to do the installation will actually want to do the mulching, because it better ensures that they won't be called to make good on their guarantee.
Yeah.
And why is that in there?
That's in there.
To make sure that it is.
Well, again, the district wants to make clear that it doesn't have to do it. Not that it doesn't have to be done.
But in this 30-30-30 split, the district is taking care of the materials. The county and the village are sharing the labor.
We're making a financial contribution. The county's doing the contracting for it.
Okay. Got
That's
it.
why I say that this agreement does not get to that level of detail. That would be something that would be spec'd out for the landscaper that's actually going to be doing the installation work.
It seems odd that it's in there, but my concern was more on the parking. As a user, I would really like to see us get to some resolution there. A, as a frequent user, including somebody who is occasionally parked at the temple, and I wrote them a nice note, even said thank you. And also, as I was campaigning, many people in Country Club Estates were concerned and complaining about the parking at that corner there, where I think it's Old Hicks, where Old Hicks, one of them does the 90-degree turn to the right. It's kind of that funky back, and that impedes traffic. It's hard to see. So if I'm glad somebody thinks there's an interest in parking, because I would say as a frequent user, there's a need.
Bill, have they given any indication on that score regarding you one of your points was that they would work with us on the parking. Do you know what they're thinking or what that means?
Well, I mean, so I've agreed to go meet with them next Wednesday at where the driveway is into the soccer field, where that gate is right there, right?
Yep, yeah.
Because right there would be a perfect spot. If that gate got moved back a little bit, that'd be a perfect spot for them to for us to allow them to have parking. Their concern was building out a full lot, constructing it professionally with blacktop and everything. And, where my head's at on this is, gravel does just fine, right? Matter of fact, it's safer for the environment. And that area, that driveway is what we were always talking about, is allowing them to set that up to allow parking for folks that are coming, this is at, Checker and Hicks right there where that
Right,
fence is in
right.
that corner,
Right. But we lease those soccer fields. Where do those people park?
Yeah, well, there is a parking lot. There is an actual
On the
parking.
Menard side.
Yeah. and
There's
it's
a
back
lot, there's a
further.
paved lot on the Menard side.
On the Menard side, we would not be letting them use that. We would just be
I
letting them-
see. I
Yeah.
got you. I got
A
you.
little bit of work needs to be done there because of the lease that we have with the soccer field as well,
Right.
because there is an existing lease. But my thought was, let's take a look at that area there and say, hey, can you use this as, I think you can, as extra parking for those visiting to use the forest reserve. And I think, take a look at it. There's a good area over there and it wouldn't cost a lot to do that. And then it wouldn't interfere with the soccer field because they have their own parking lot over there,
And this
And
is
that's where people,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No,
that's something that the district would throw gravel on so that the members of the public could use it instead of clogging up the streets. Is that what we're thinking?
That's what we're thinking. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got it. Thanks. Okay.
Yeah. Something simple. And they're thinking it's going to be a big expense. And I'm like, no, let's look at this. And Jeff, you can, if you've been over there, I mean, turning it into a gravel parking lot or even, a little bit of a hybrid thing with a little bit of grass, that's not a big expense, right? So.
Right.
Okay. I got it. Thanks.
The problem we have is they're on a timeline. CCE has agreed to pay half. We've agreed to pay half. As long as there's a good faith effort to address the parking, and in that area is perfect from my perspective. And we, come up with a solution so that if something dies, they're saying, well, it's not going to die. I'm like, well, I was an HOA president. I know stuff dies, right? And we can't go, it's not our property. There's got to be some way we can remedy something if some of the trees die. So, we can wait to approve this. The thing is that they are starting to get onto a timeline and we don't want to miss the window for the spring. They got to go to the Army Corps of Engineers and get the permits. It's got to go before the Lake County Board. There is some work that they have to do because it is one of those wetland mitigation sites. And that's the other thing that added the complexity to this whole thing was the fact that it is, it's going to require the Army Corps of Engineers approval for anything that gets planted in there.
so help us out here, Bill. They're now on a timeline. We have to hurry up after they basically have dragged out over individual words for 7 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the power company, don't complain or they'll shut your power off. Yes.
But why wouldn't we go forward with this tonight? I mean,
Because we don't have a commitment on the parking, which is the main impetus for moving forward.
Well, I
One of
mean,
the main
it's
impetus.
part of it.
It's the screening. It's the screening.
The screening is the
part of
the real reason. We have residents that, they have an HOA that doesn't have a lot of money and they cobbled together 15 grand. That's how important it was to them,
Yeah, but on the other hand, there's a lot of plantings that we'd like to remove, like more teasel and more Phragmites and more buckthorn, right? So I think you could argue that's more detrimental than the view of a couple houses.
It's the view of anyone driving down those streets, right? It's gonna
Right.
change the view.
To my point about Phragmites or buckthorn, exactly.
but I'm under the impression there's something I'm missing here on the parking. It's their forest preserve. people are patronizing the forest preserve. They're parking in the wrong places because there's not enough, they didn't anticipate the attraction, I guess, and there's not enough space. So we can't force them to do something. So are we saying that it's that important to us that we're going to push them to create more parking? I guess I'm not clear on it. You know, it's like, isn't it more their problem than our problem? Or is that a question of they're not parking in front of my house? Is it one of those kind of things?
There are some nuances about that, and maybe, Bill, if you'd want, we can go into an executive session later and we can continue this until after the executive session to decide whether we want to even move forward on it tonight. But I think that some of those are nuances that we're better served not discussing open session. It's it's got to do with our disposition of property interests with the with that parking lot.
I see. Okay.
Well, I guess if there's nobody's comfortable making a motion, we can defer it till after executive session. I take that as no one's comfortable. So we're gonna go ahead and defer it. Okay. Moving on to the next item, village planners report. Jim. Jim, you there? You're muted. Jim, you gonna take us through the
Hello, I'm sorry, I was having trouble unmuting. The Architectural Commission?
Please.
Yes. At their meeting of May 18th, there were 3 action items. The first was signage for H&I Auto, which was formerly Auto World. This is at 7151 Route 83. It's up by the Shell station at the corner of 83 and 45 and 60. This was a bit of a unique situation in that there was a court order that really dictated how the property would develop. Signage was included as part of that court order, so we have to abide by those findings. The tenant is in Unit D of the space. He is going to have an auto repair facility there. The signage will be in conformance with the court order. It will be non-illuminated, letters of 18 inches high. It will read H&I Auto, and then over the service bay, there is a Korean script that indicates repair auto. I actually had to ask about that because I don't read or understand Korean, but that's what the little signage says over the door. The Architectural Commission had no problem with it, and they recommended approval of the signage as submitted at this location. Do you want me to continue, or?
Yeah, please. I displayed this sign, so in case somebody wants to see what it looks like, right? This is it.
Yeah,
right?
there you go. Yeah, and to the right there is the script I was talking about, and the other part says H&I Auto.
And there's another. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have here, right? Is that right?
That's correct. It's consistent with the court order, and it's actually very consistent with other signage in the development, which is, again, regulated by the court order.
Any questions? Any concerns?
I'm good.
Nope, none here.
You want to go to the next one? Let me, I can
I
bring it
will.
up too.
The next request was actually for exterior alterations for property at 111 Old McHenry Road. This is actually In Motion Dance Studio. Landmark Exteriors has acquired the property, and Paul O'Meara, who is an owner of the property, submitted the application. They're doing substantial, there you go, thank you, Bill. They're doing substantial alterations, and I've laid them out there with the A, B, C, D, E to correspond to the changes that are actually being made. They're going to be doing new siding on the top, new windows, new siding, which is C, similar type metal roof, which is Z, windows to match the front along the sides, new doors, and new windows in the front, which will have the same type of, those are called muntins, separations. That's what makes the window panes on the front. If you've been by there, the building is in my opinion, very poor condition, particularly exteriorly. I think these renovations are welcomed. The Architectural Commission found this was actually going back to the style that we promote in the Long Grove style, as well as being in conformance with the design guidelines for the downtown. They were very happy with what was being proposed and recommended approval of this also 6-0. Which was a unanimous vote. Any questions on that?
No, just a comment. My understanding is those current windows leak cold air all winter. This will be not only a visual improvement, but a functional improvement.
Good point. You're absolutely right. The windows will be upgraded and be more, I guess you could say, environmentally sound, because they will be more modern and environmentally better.
Any concerns, any comments?
Nope, looks nice.
All right,
I think it'll be a great improvement, I really do. And just as a side note, they acquired the blue property, used to be the blue building, to I'll call it east, which is actually the topic of the next request, which is at, I believe it's 404 Robert Parker Coffin Road. They're going to use similar materials to that, and I think the renovations they did there, A, look nice, and B, are really in conformance with what we're looking for in the downtown. So they've got a good track record, so I think this will be a great improvement. Next, 404, they're asking for signage. It would be 20 square feet in area. The signage would be on the Robert Parker Coffin Road side of the property. It will be tricolored, white with a black background, or white with a black border, excuse me, and then their logo, which is red and.
Can you see it on the screen?
It's just red and white on that signage. There was a previous request for signage that they were going to incorporate into the mansard roof on that building, which after a lot of discussion and negotiation was finally approved, but they decided not to go with that because of maintenance concerns. They were really concerned about birds nesting in the alcove, if you will, where they were going to mount the signage. It would have looked nice, but the maintenance concerns were a real problem. So they've decided to scrap those plans and go with a wall-mounted sign. The Architectural Commission had just a couple of modifications. Instead of having a painted border on the sign, they suggested that a frame be placed around the sign and that the siding, windows, whatever copy that they would be on there would be staggered. Thank you, Bill. That would be staggered instead of in a straight line. And that would be really for better readability. The petitioner thought those were great suggestions and agreed to doing that. And the Architectural Commission recommended approval with those modifications.
Any questions on
do you
this
have any
one?
questions?
No, they look really nice.
I think so too. I agree with you.
Does this mean that the signs in the windows will be coming down, or are those staying?
The window signs are separate. As long as window signs do not occupy more than 10% of the window space, they're allowed without review or approval by myself or the Architectural Commission.
Okay, I thought they took up much more than 10% of the window space, but.
Could you define that again, Jim?
Yeah, window signs are permitted without any further review. It's kind of like as a matter of right, as long as they don't take up more than 10% of the window space. I've kind of looked at that as if you can see through it and see past it. It's not like they've put up a opaque sign, if you will, where you can't see through the window. then it's approvable. When I look
Have
at
you ever
these,
seen it at
typically I
night,
look at the
Jim?
total window space and then calculate, 10% for signage. When you get to the windows that have the muttons, the individual panes, you could get down to that level, but I find it works better all the way around to just look at the total window area and then 10% of that.
Have you ever seen them at night, Jim?
What at night?
The signs in the windows?
Oh, the window signs?
Yeah, the windows that have the signs in them. Have you ever seen it at night?
Like in motion? The building next door to this one?
No, in the landmark.
Yeah.
No, I have not. I'm sorry. No, I have not seen their window signs at night.
Yeah, they're pretty bright, I think is what,
It's pretty ugly.
Okay. Well, then I could suggest to them that they consider removing the window signs. I mean, as long as they're compliant, we don't have a lot of leverage in terms of enforcement, but they have been very good at working with us. And again, I think the exterior alterations to that building are a testament to that. But I could ask them if they would consider removing the window signs.
Well, if they're code, that's one thing, but if I don't have a very discerning eye, but sure seems like more than 10% of the window.
They've got so many windows along Robert Parker Coffin. If you look at the totality, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I thought he meant 10% of the actual window, but I didn't realize it was all of the windows combined. That I'm sure they are 10%.
Yeah, it's 10% of the window space. That's actually how the code reads, and I've looked at it in aggregate because, I mean, if you want to sit down and calculate pane by pane, A, it's a pain, and B, it's just really hard to enforce, I think.
so it's a pain is a pain.
It's unpractical.
Yeah.
Pain,
Yeah.
exactly right.
So we'll live with ugly.
Well, the only thought is there a dimmer switch at night where it's not so bright, right? Because I think what it is during the day it's got to be bright with the light, but can it turn down at night so it's not so bright?
Well,
Well,
and the
and
other
maybe-
thing too is that building doesn't lend itself to signage. They wanted to put something on the mansard roof, but that was considered to be a roof sign, which is prohibited. So, given the hand they were dealt, signage is difficult on that building. I think what they've shown us with the Robert Parker Coffin Road sign is attractive and nice looking, complements the building very well. But I could ask if they would consider removing the window signs. I think that's.
I
what
think
else-
Bill's point is better than the sign, than the size of the signs. It is driving through there at night. It's glaring, looks tacky.
But
I
I
can
will
ask,
say the building looks 100% better than it did.
Oh, well,
that's
if
awesome.
that
No,
was
they did a
how we
nice job.
decided things, then let's go with the tacky at night and it's pretty in the daytime.
Yeah, no
Exactly.
question.
No, it looks great. The
Well,
building looks
and-
great. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
The building looks great. I mean, have a chit chat. Maybe once he puts the sign on Robert Parker Coffin, he'll lose the illuminated ones in the window.
Right. I can ask again. As long as they're compliant, we don't have a lot of leverage to force them to do that. But I can ask.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The other item, the Architectural Commission had concerns with the condition of the Omens Flower Farm property on 83. Two areas of concern. Number one was aesthetics. It's an entrance to the village, and the dilapidated condition just is blighted, and they felt not consistent with the character and what we want for the look of Long Grove. The second concern is for health, safety, welfare concern. The property is an attractive nuisance, and it's deteriorating. We were looking to get an enforcement property maintenance agreement with Mundelein, and to kind of dovetail into the conversation with Prosecutor Lalazern, when we contracted with Buffalo Grove, we went to adjudication process. So instead of going to the village prosecutor, Joe Rizzi, who handled our property maintenance complaints after that, would take it to adjudication. So there was a step that we kind of backed out there in terms of enforcement. That's what we would get with Mundelein if we approved the intergovernmental agreement for property maintenance. And that is the other half of the Architectural Commission's concern with that property, that the attractive nuisance is a health, safety, welfare issue. So if we get this intergovernmental agreement in place, then we can go ahead and start to get this property cleaned up, either by voluntarily or through adjudication. And ultimately, if that doesn't work, it would go to the prosecutor whom you talked to tonight. So
hey, Jim,
that's really their concerns on that. So if we get the intergovernmental agreement approved, I believe they feel that is a positive step in getting this resolved.
Jim, I'm going to ask interim manager Bill Balling to address, because we do have something in place with Mundelein. We did reach an agreement. So, and Bill, can you give us an update?
Actually, yes, actually the drafting pen is in Mundelein's hand, and fortunately they used Larry LaLausanne as their prosecutor as well, and he's preparing that draft. They're reluctant on proceeding with enforcement on behalf without the agreement. So we're trying to accelerate and put closure on that agreement itself so they can take a more aggressive posture, and they're prepared to do so. There's nothing redeeming about that. The buildings, it is a total nuisance. It's something that should come down, and it's going to take an aggressive response. But Mundelein has taken the position, I think it's the right position, that they can't prosecute on our behalf until we have an agreement. So my goal is to get that back to you in our next meeting in June, latest the second meeting in June, where that'll be fully passed by Mundelein and Long Grove, and we can move ahead to a more aggressive response.
I thought we were using them for code.
We are using them for code, but we're talking about heavy actions, possibly condemnation of the properties or the buildings, and they've hesitated. But the other issues that they're dealing with, they've been doing a very good job. This property owner has got no interest in bargaining this thing. He's crying hardship and can't do anything. And it started with a fence last fall, and then it got to be ground frozen, and they can't do the fence, and they tried to tack up some of the rotting boards on the fence posts themselves, which was ridiculous. And it's pretty clear that they've got to, we're going to have to take a more aggressive response with them. And Mundelein says, look, I'll do that, but I need an agreement, and they need to insulate themselves, that they're working on behalf of the village for that type of action. So,
well, Helen Wilson is
Quick
here.
question.
Go ahead.
I just had a quick question. The Oman property, are we talking about just the dilapidated greenhouse on the hill, or also that there's sort of a funky residence between there and Ballybunion? Kind of where's the lines here?
yeah, right now we're looking at the greenhouses and the fencing as far as being unacceptable. I don't think that building is occupied. They may use it as a construction. They do
there
use
are
it as a
lots of
construction
people in
stage. What was that,
There are
Bobby?
lots of people in that house. Lots and lots.
Living or just positioning there?
I've seen them at all times of the day and night.
Okay, well,
Lots
evening
of
wouldn't be a
cars.
problem. Now, that's.
The
that
house
gets to be-
is,
That gets to be a more complicated deal when you get residents that you've got to extricate before you. I mean, the greenhouse itself and the fence is pretty self-evident that there's more repair done than damage, than good property, good structure remaining. I haven't asked Pete to go after. I had thought there was a construction staging site. There's a construction traffic that sits there during the daytime, possibly leased by IDOT.
It is not construction. It was
No.
there a month ago, 2 months ago,
Yeah.
4 months ago.
There
I'll,
are,
I'll-
No,
I'll have to
there-
get, I'll have to get some information back from you. on
Helen's,
why, but-
Helen's trying to talk too, because
Oh,
the
sorry.
fence is on the Briarcrest side too as well.
Right.
Helen?
well, there are vehicles at the house all times of day and night, and the number of vehicles that are there would cause a prudent person to wonder what exactly is going on in that facility, because there are so many cars.
Yeah.
It raises questions. Not that I'm saying that I could attest to what's going on there.
They have a big family, Helen.
Maybe it's a big family, that could be, but it does cause one to question. And the fence, the way that they supposedly fixed the fence was, as you said, deplorable.
I'll have to get an update to the board on the residents, because I don't think we are approaching that structure right now. And obviously, if you get an illegal use, you've got to address that as well. But you've got a bona fide safety concern in those structures, that the industrial structures, if you will, for the nursery itself.
I had mentioned it to Dave Ledsbike but long before he left.
The building, Bobby?
Yeah.
The residents?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll bring it up to Pete and see where he's at.
it's in that big pit that has all my questions unanswered.
Okay.
There's
All
a
right, so-
special
so-
place for it.
So we'll look for you to, give us a report maybe at the next meeting. Hopefully we'll have something in place.
Yeah, we may have an agreement on what we'll call the condemned structures, but not the it's possible. My goal is to get something back to you on the condemned structures or the structures we'd like to condemn in June, hopefully our first meeting, and then I'll give a report on what this looks like. Well, so I'll talk to Larry again and have him lay out the steps on that as well.
I think those are the concerns of the Architectural Commission. I don't know that the residents was of great concern to them, but it's the condemnable structures that I think that they're concerned about. I mean, ideally, if the property was scraped, I think it would be more marketable, but I don't know that that's our decision.
Jim, can I move us on to the other item?
I was just going to say the Architectural Commission met last night, and I can outline what happened there, as that's less than 24 hours prior to your meeting. I don't believe that you can take action on it per the Open Meetings Act, but I can outline that for you if you like.
Yeah, and I think Vic was, if everyone doesn't have issues with it, we can at least let the petitioner know that we can't formally approve it, I guess, until the next meeting, but we can at least let you know that everyone looked at it and didn't have any concerns, and it doesn't look like anyone's going to appeal it, right? Vic, did I get that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, obviously go ahead. If you would, I'm putting on the screen what the sign looks like. And if you could, I had asked, because of they missed the window by a few days to get it on the agenda. I asked and since all the meetings are virtual, I asked if the AC could, hold a special meeting, and they did last night, right? And I'll let you describe that, so that, because it takes about 6 to 8 weeks for the sign to get ordered, and Mike was wanting to get it installed sooner rather than later, so that it's there for the summer. So if you could tell us what happened last night, that would be great.
Yeah, the property was formerly occupied by the Pear Tree Christmas Shop. It is at 210 Robert Parker Coffin Road, and they're asking for basically two signs. The sign that you have up there is the hanging sign. It would have basically two components. There would be the main part of the sign, which is the Sock Monkey Museum, and then there would be a sign panel that's below that. The square footage on both of those is about 11 square feet. They are, 13.6 square feet. It would be 18 feet above grade. They're also proposing a wall sign that would be 13.6 square feet. In total, They're asking for 24.7 square feet of signage. They're entitled to 30 square feet of signage. The sign would be constructed of plywood that is sandblasted, so the letters would actually be raised. You see the color scheme that's there. This is all permissible in terms of our village code. They have about 4,500 square feet of floor area. They would be entitled to 30 square foot of signage, so they're actually below the maximum. The Architectural Commission last night, there was very little discussion on it. They like the sign. They like the hanging sign. They think it's very much in character with the downtown and what we're promoting for signage. So the recommendation was actually unanimous to recommend approval of the signage as submitted. The only caveat to that is they wanted to see a detail as to how the sign would be mounted to the building, both the wall sign and, more importantly, the bracket hanging sign. They were very supportive of it. They thought it was great, keeping in character with the downtown. It will be non-illuminated, by the way. That was one thing that was clarified. There's no existing illumination, and they did not propose any illumination. So that's what you see. I did indicate to the applicant that based on the Architectural Commission's recommendation, normally Village Board has been very receptive to those recommendations, and they could probably go ahead and have the sign be fabricated, but it would need to come back to you all for approval, and that'll take place at your next meeting.
Any
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Can somebody confirm that they're actually business licensed for the three things on their hanging thing down there? It's been so long.
Well, they actually started renovations on the building, I believe, in 2019. And with COVID and everything, this kind of got put on hold. So they do have code requirements, building permits that they need to do to get the building up to code for the use that they're proposing. Per the testimony given last night, there will be a retail component, and as sales tax is involved, they will need to have a business license for this use. Whether they've applied for that and received it, I do not know, but I can look into that. It will be required, though.
I think the signs are adorable.
Yeah, the Architectural Commission thought the same thing.
So, I mean, any concerns, because I can't tell them that it's approved, right? Or we can't tell them it's approved, but I mean, if he wants to get a jump on it, do you see any risk? Does the board see any risk in that?
I don't. I think they look great.
Anyone, Ann, same?
My only question was the dot connecting between the licensing.
Okay, got it.
No concern with the sign.
Chris?
The signs are fine, Bill. Let's kick this thing forward, shall we?
All right, Rita?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, it still has to come back. It still has to formally be on the agenda, but let Mike know that, he should be good to go. It's just, we got one more step. Legally, we have to wait until the next board meeting, so. But the
Sounds
board,
like a good item for
Pardon?
Sorry, Jim.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, sounds like a good item for a consent agenda next time.
There you go.
But
I like that idea, and I will relay to the applicant that.
No.
No? I was just going to say that.
No, you're good. Keep going, Jim.
I was just going to say, go ahead. It looks good to go ahead and have your signs fabricated, although final approval is still required.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Jim, for doing that. I appreciate it. All right.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Not from me, no. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks for that report. We really appreciate it. Under my report, it's the village president and trustee reports. And under my report, I've got a couple items, but the first one is I have the honor of recognizing Denise Rosenquist for outstanding achievement, academic achievement, that is. We brought Denise in as an intern And we recently hired on as our new operations director. And Denise recently completed her master's degree in public administration, MPA as I call it. I guess we're looking at a lot of resumes now. We know what that is, from Northern Illinois University. And she received so many accolades and achievements here. She was the Phi Alpha Alpha member, Distinguished Global Honor Society for Public Affairs and Administration. She graduated with a 4.0 GPA, perfect GPA. Wow. She got the 2021 Outstanding Graduate Student Award, which I believe that's like being top in your class, right, Denise? And she also was the 2021 William Monet Scholar, NIU MPA's highest honor, named after the past NIU president and chancellor of the Illinois Board of Regents, Dr. William, is it Monet or Monat? And he's the one that actually drove this program and secured state approval to have this MPA program in Illinois and at NIU. She was chosen as the presenter of the Professor of the Year Award at the Phi Alpha Alpha Award ceremony. You know, what's even more impressive about this is that she accomplished this all while she was assisting our village. And she did so many things. If you look at all the things that she's done with the website and EDC, et cetera. So I just want to congratulate, and I think we all should congratulate Denise on these remarkable academic accomplishments. And, you know, we are so fortunate to have you as a full-time member of Long Grove. Congratulations, and thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Denise,
Thank you.
congratulations.
I just want to say too that the experience, you know, the synergy between that program and this experience with, you know, as an intern with the Village of Long Grove was absolutely amazing. I mean, the two just went, it made it so easy to want to just, you know, really achieve a lot there, because it's just, both experiences were extraordinary. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Denise. Yes, we have good taste for hiring you, even though I wasn't on the board, but.
Thank you so much.
Congrats. I just have two more.
Congrats. And
yeah, go ahead.
And the actual ceremony is June 4th?
Yes, they're having both ceremonies June 4th, the award ceremony, and then they're having the actual graduation in the afternoon. So it should be really fun. My family's coming from Minneapolis, so.
That's terrific.
And then that'll be outside. Will you have it'll be live, right?
Yes, I believe the morning ceremony is actually inside, but the afternoon, I believe, is outside. Yep.
Okay, got it.
I think they're doing a live stream of it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but.
All right, we got to get some pictures. All right. Any other comments on that? If not, I'll move on to my next item. Bill had put in his memo that the Village Hall is opening on June 1. So not on Monday, but the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So it'll be open to the public. And he's worked out, you know, how that'll be done, right? Bill, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, we've got the administrative functions, if you will, going to open on June 1. We are encouraging residents, because we've designed and operated under the COVID programs with the remote opportunities. We're going to encourage people to continue to use those because they're very, very convenient. But we're certainly going to maintain conventional office hours beginning June 1st, and sort of bringing us back. The broader question, and it's really a question for the board and the governor's directives, is when do public meetings relaunch? Because we have a lot more control on the administrative side in terms of people management in our building. And so we'll be looking at that to be a sort of a phase 2 opening. And I think we'll get good guidance on that from the governor sometime in June, so that we can consider that at an upcoming meeting as well.
Yeah, Bill, you're also just going to take a look at if, you know, so we can do a hybrid meeting. So is there a way to maybe move the tables around a little bit.
Well, we're not going to have a lot of people in that room given the space. So
Right.
we'll have an opportunity, and the hybrids would still allow us to provide streaming of the event, and actually have, I've seen several boards that have had split boards. We'll have the mayor, the clerk, and 1 or 2 trustees in the building. The other ones would be monitoring, participating on a virtual basis. And then if the room's big enough, and it's really not too big, we'll probably encourage some of the staff members to continue to attend virtually so we can free up a couple of seats. But I'm talking about probably public seating less than a dozen and maybe less than 5, depending on how it lays out for the guidelines. But those guidelines may well change in the month of June as we move into the, and it's not the bridge phase, it's the next phase after the bridge phase that we're looking at. So we'll have an assessment for you to consider. It's not the biggest space. As you know, we've occasionally met in the Mundelein Village Hall, and that's a great space, but it's, because it has the size that we need to spread out. But we can, I think a hybrid is probably going to be a good idea to start with it. One of the things that the league is lobbying for, the Illinois Municipal League, is they're trying to have continuing virtual meetings because they're very efficient in terms of getting things done, getting people together. So there may be some directive, but they're actually starting a lobbyist effort to make that as a municipal option to continue to run those meetings in that fashion. And so we'll see, but it's going to be ultimately a local decision guided by the updated directives of the governor on the emergency rules, and those are both expected in June. But we're going to start June 1 administratively and can handle all of the requirements necessary for that.
I know that you also talked about a tent, or we could,
Well, that's that's an option. It's more of an extreme option because we wanted to get a tent and some rented lighting and chairs and whatnot. We could set up in our parking lot, and we've got 5-6 months of really good weather, so we could pull it off if we wanted to. And then we could liberalize our attendance because you'd have open sides on the tent. And much like the restaurant started in the early phases of COVID, that's an option. And we can just get some order of magnitude costs for you, just to take a look at that to see. But we would be able to take advantage of several months of pretty good weather to do that, and we could accommodate it. And frankly, although I haven't pursued this with the school district, we've got all kinds of evening parking in the school property if we need it, if we went in that direction. So we could have a pretty good sized tent in the parking lot to deal with that as well.
Any
so
comments
we'll keep
on that?
informed as we march ahead on that. But I think getting us open administratively, reminding, I know our media program is going to remind people to use they found the online services helpful to them, continue, because we're going to continue to offer them. And I think it'll be a nice package for us.
Mosquitoes in West Nile. Those are my comments.
Well, yeah, you want to have some good good repellent in the summertime.
Yeah,
That's
I just
true.
don't know
I
how
didn't
we,
know,
I don't know how we do it. I mean, I can't see us sitting there under a tent for 3 hours in the evening with mosquitoes all around us without screened in walls. I just don't know how we do that.
Well, that's a good point, Chris. And you don't want to make it too closed up because it'd be extremely uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, it's a conflict for sure.
I also think the cost needs to be put in the mix. The cost of a tent, the cost of all the paraphernalia that would be necessary.
Yeah.
Jesse DeSoto has a big tent in Brothers Field that just went up. He's pretty quiet. Usually on Tuesday nights, he doesn't have a liquor license. Wonder if we could meet there under that tent.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, at times in the past, we met at the Grove. So, the Grove Country Club. So, I mean, we could
Mhm.
see if
Gee, there's a thought.
that has interesting, implications, but
Well, the berm is coming down as we speak.
yes.
The work has begun, so that's a good sign.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. This week, Jeff was able to leverage the launch of that project, and there's some dirt coming out of it right now. I think I'm going to seal this report a little bit. but-
Yeah, I'm gonna keep us moving then. We'll go
Okay,
back
go
to
ahead.
Jeff's report. End of my report. And I know Trustee Michaud probably wants to give an update from the EDC, but Bobby, do you want to talk about
Okay, I'll do it in a minute.
Yep, and can I show my screen then
Yeah,
too?
yeah, just put that up. And Denise finally, not finally, but Denise finished doing the Long Grove Legacy site on our website. And the purpose of it is to honor and remember people who either lived or worked in Long Grove. And whoever puts it in is limited to 350 words. And it's just and a picture and when they passed away. And it's a place for gathering history of Long Grove people.
So here's Tony Berg up here, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool picture.
Yeah, he was a true gentleman of Long Grove. He did a lot of things for Long Grove, and then Kathy Weiberg is there, Barbara Turner, and Robert Parker Coffin so far.
Oh wow, that's a great picture. That's great. There we go. Neat. And then there's a spot to submit something, right, Bobby?
Yes, the other link I gave you
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up.
is the link to put put it in.
Right here, right?
Yes.
So somebody can submit it, and then it's looked at by village staff or
Yeah.
And then it could be potentially posted right after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's neat.
So we're going to let people know who perhaps know of people who have passed on in the recent years, and it's a gathering place for them. So we'll create our own little history of people.
Thanks
And
for
you had
doing
to
that.
live here or work here.
To be on the on the wall here. Yeah, got it. Well, thank you. That's awesome. That's really nice. Moving right along, unless you had anyone had any comments or questions on that?
I think it's great. Thank you, Bobby and Denise.
Well done. Well done. I think we'll move because I think the next one is the EDC meeting, which I've been hit or miss on it. I was there for 45 minutes of it. So this morning, I don't know if Jenny wants to give the update.
Unfortunately, I was driving from Eau Claire back to Long Grove, and I was in Hills, and there was a thunderstorm, and I caught about every 3 words. So I was hoping that either Roger or Ann maybe could give an update, because I also couldn't take notes while I was
Well, I
driving.
mean, I know that Matt Quinn from the Illinois Restaurant Association was there right away at the beginning, right?
Right, I didn't even
and then
catch his name. So,
It's
oh
Matt
yeah,
Quinn.
with them.
Yeah. And I mean, I caught some of the questions. I know I wasn't in a position to respond, but I know there was just about policies for opening up and masking and things like that. And we don't regulate it, right? It's not us. It's the health department or the state. So we never did. But I know that was one of the questions. But he was, kind of taking us through some of the city of Chicago, I guess, put a more rigorous policy in place, right, for the businesses there, and the state hasn't really done anything. So he was describing some of the things the city of Chicago did. I don't know if I did justice to that or not, Ann. I know you were there as well.
I was there. I think he was describing Chicago, saying that was probably a decent beacon for what the full state might be, because Chicago couldn't be any looser than the state. And that had more specificity, and it was a lot of going back to business as usual. The interesting thing was the idea of, either ascertaining that people were vaccinated or wearing masks, either of which are kind of a painful enforcement. But I think, we'll kind of see when we get there.
Yep. And I know the other thing is you talked about the marketing project, right? I caught your synopsis of that. You may want to give the board a review of that, because I thought, that was a great summary. And I beyond that, I had to drop off. So sorry about that. But
I'll be happy to review it, and then we'll be sending something out also, because we are doing a debrief with the marketing teachers tomorrow afternoon. So kind of wanted to have that, and then we'll send something back to the board. But basically, they finished the project of working with businesses with Long Grove. It was kind of a research project. All 3 marketing classes participated. All of their research concluded the week of May 10th, and then we got the presentations last Monday. 13 businesses participated. Every business that we have contact information for was contacted. Denise, that's like about 100, I think. Is that right? Yeah, about 100. But 13 raised their hand and said, yes, we'd like to do that. Mainly downtown, but not totally. Included businesses that do products, that provide services, and that hold also manufacturing. The research was done in groups. The students really appreciated this, by the way. They appreciated the real life opportunity. They appreciated the ability to kind of get in a business setting and know how to conduct conversations with businesses and how that might go. And part of this is also one of the reasons we didn't want to just give the businesses a form to fill out, but that we wanted this to be interactive so that there could be follow-up and kind of, be able to tease out nuances. The 3 areas they focused on were kind of, what do you like about doing business in Long Grove? Or what about Long Grove as a place to do business? What concerns do you have about Long Grove as a place to do business? And what next steps or recommendations do you have for the village or for others to make it a better place for your business? And interestingly, there were some themes that were very common throughout the 13 different interviews and presentations. On the what do you like about Long Grove, they love the character, they love the history, they love the charm, the feel. The word unique came up several times. So this idea of that's partly why they came to Long Grove, because they felt they're unique and they felt it was a unique place, as well as the demographics. Okay, so they're here because of what they like about the residents. Another theme that came through almost every single one was a need to attract younger generation, rejuvenate. A couple of them even suggested consider housing that befits attracting millennials and younger generation. A couple of them said, our demographic, our target market is really more like downtown Chicago. So that's one of the concerns they have, and they would like to see something there. There was more awareness of Long Grove overall, and a couple of them mentioned attracting folks 7 days a week, not just weekends. And then the last was a comment that was made earlier about making it easier for businesses to locate in Long Grove and do something about the empty buildings downtown that they felt were detracting. So those were the 4 key themes. I would say those first 2, the easier to do business with wasn't as prevalent. It did come through in several, but those first 3, we love the uniqueness in the demographics. We need to attract younger, and we need to just promote and get the awareness of Long Grove overall. And do things, what can we do to also promote 7 days a week? So we'll send some of that out. As I said, we're doing a debrief with the 2 marketing teachers. They are so happy about this. Mina and Jenny and Denise have been fabulous the whole way too.
anything else from the update? Thank you for that, Ann.
I would say Roger
Or Mike or whatever. I see you both there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah.
If not, we'll keep us moving, and thank you for that update. Trustee Browski, did you want to, Lake County Sheriff report, did you want to mention anything?
Nothing to add. Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Any other reports?
We do not have a treasurer's report yet, so we'll be doing some doubling up, I think, at the next meeting.
The next meeting, okay. Thank you. Thanks, Ann. Then let's move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from the May 11th and the April 27th meetings. Does anyone have any concerns or adjustments? If not, a motion to approve them both?
I need to abstain on the 11th.
Okay.
So do I.
And I need to abstain on the 27th, so we might have to do them
Let's do
separately.
them separately. Okay, so a motion to approve the April 27th meeting minutes.
So- oh, I can't. I'm abstaining.
Anybody want to approve them?
I think I had an issue and I apologize. I didn't write it down. It was not a big one, but I don't remember what it was. I know it had to do with something I said. Oh, but I'm on a different month. I'm on May 11th. So
Okay, so would you make a motion to approve the April 27th minutes?
hold on, there was something that I think I'm only going to be the only one voting if I make the motion, right?
I don't know.
No, I'll vote with you on the 27th. I'll move that we approve the minutes from the April 27th meeting as written.
Okay, moved by trustee Kritzmeyer, seconded by,
Hold on.
You
Sorry.
don't have to vote to second.
Second.
all right, seconded by trustee O'Connor. Roll call, please.
Okay, trustee Michaud. Oh,
Abstain.
wait, you're abstaining on this one, yes. Okay, trustee O'Connor,
Aye. Yeah, this one's okay. Aye.
okay. Trustee O'Reilly,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
I'm sorry. I'm just reading this. There was something I thought, sorry. Under the public hearing budget item, there's a note about Chris asking about curbing burning by picking up branches. Is that misplaced?
no, it came up right there, but it also could exit the minutes. I don't care about that.
Okay.
Topically, it is odd, but the conversation does follow the sequence, or the minutes, I should say,
Gotcha.
does follow the sequence of the
Okay.
conversation.
All right, I'll vote aye.
Okay, and trustee Borowski.
Hey,
Is that an aye?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
then motion carried.
That was the cat.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right, so then the next one is from the May 11th meeting. Do we have enough yeses to approve
We only
tonight?
need one aye and all the rest can be abstained and that'll pass it.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
Sure, move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
so trustee Borowski, seconded by trustee Michaud. Roll call,
Okay,
please.
trustee Borowski,
Aye.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Abstain.
abstain. Trustee O'Reilly,
Abstain.
trustee O'Connor,
Hold on one sec, please. Sorry. I think it had to do with. Oh, question. Regarding, it was the water vote. It says trustee O'Connor commented Long Grove would sell water to customers for more than Long Grove would be willing to pay. Water from Buffalo Grove due to, I don't understand that sentence. And I think I asked a question regarding that. And I think it had to do with the fact that the comment was made that Buffalo Grove's charge for water was higher than ours. And I think the question I asked was, does that then mean that we would sell it for we would have to sell the water for more? And I don't know, it says village engineer Perry agreed. So I just don't understand those two sentences. And I don't recall that being the conversation.
Buffalo Grove was selling their water at 4.5 cents or something like that per thousand. So I think the comment was that we were that we would probably be charged above that rate, was my understanding.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of a given. I think I was just
Yeah.
confirming that. But that when you read that sentence, that's not what comes through. So it was just, and it really was just a confirmation question. So I don't have a problem with it being in there. It's just, it's not clear.
You can edit it because if that's not what you meant to say, right?
What's not what I said. What's
Okay,
not what I
then why don't we
remember.
just take it out? Does anyone have any?
That's
objection?
fine. That's fine. Yeah. You
Think
can,
that's-
sure. Perfect. Thanks.
I think that that's an appropriate deletion since this is a topic that will have to be revisited in any case. It's not
Right.
related to the vote.
Right.
The vote that's reflected in the minutes.
Yeah. And it's fine. I think Sherry was just being conscientious. So.
And I guess the question is, Chris and Jenny, do you accept that change for your motion and second?
Yeah, I'll amend my motion.
And I will second the amended motion.
Okay. Okay, so I will tell her to strike that comment. And so Trustee O'Connor, then you are an aye.
Sure. Aye. Thank you.
And Trustee Michaud.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's see, we have no treasurer's report, right? And so it's time for the village engineer report.
Okay, all right. So earlier you were exactly right. Bill Balling did steal a little bit of my thunder, but I'll try to steal a little bit of it back. So you got my engineer's report in the board packet, and I'll highlight a few things. Before I get into that, at the last board meeting, Trustee Borowski had a question on Diamond Lake Road and the pavement markings that were out there and what was going on. We did find out that the Lake County Division of Transportation is going to be doing some pavement patching later this year. That's going to be a day operation, moving operation. So, where the crews are, there'll be flaggers around it, but roads won't be closed, barricades won't be out there as well. So just wanted to pass that along. The first thing I've got here is North Kruger Road. The construction is going on nicely over there and going on so well that earlier today I was asked by the contractor to invoke the detour or put the detour in place starting next Tuesday, which would be June 1st. At the open house meeting, it was scheduled for June 7th, but we've had some favorable weather, so the contractor is looking to start that next Tuesday, day after Memorial Day. Talked to Bill Balling about that earlier today, and that is certainly advantaged Long Grove with the detour starting a week earlier. That means the project is going well and could also be done a little bit sooner. So a shorter project is also always a better project in terms of construction. So with that, we will modify the resident notice, make sure everybody knows that that's going to be happening. We'll distribute that in the same fashion that the previous notice was distributed, and we'll also put it on the project website. There was some,
will the covers on the signs be removed by then?
yeah, I was just going to highlight that the detour signs were put up, and I did get a couple calls about those because the signs were up, and then they had black, almost looks like poster board with blue tape on it to cover the words. And it's required that the signs be put up in advance so that the state and the county can review the location of them. But since they're not active, you got to put black over them. Typically, you see garbage bags around them, but in this case, they did a little different.
There's no uniformity.
And there's no standard for how the contractor has to cover up those signs either. So, yes, this one was a bit unique. So, but to answer your question, yes, once the The date is confirmed, which is June 1st. Those black placards, if you will be taken off. Make sure that the dates are correct on there. They all say June 1st. And starting next week, we'll see a lot more active construction out there. The next item I've got here, just to comment, Stemple parking lot, that project is out to bid. We currently have 8 plan holders for that, so still a lot of interest on that. We're looking to open bids next Tuesday, or next Wednesday, excuse me, and the recommendation and the bid tabulation will be presented at the next board meeting and included in the board packet for that meeting. Moving down, I'm going to come back to item 13, the Route 22 widening, if you don't mind. Just 2 other things I want to highlight. Lake Eleanor Estates, the contractor is going to be out there next week to clean and televise the storm sewer outlet pipe.
Who is paying for this?
So, okay, yeah, sorry about that. We talked about that 2 weeks ago, but the contract is with the village, and we've got agreements with the Lake Eleanor Estates HOA to pay their pro rata share. We've got an agreement with Ela Township to pay their pro rata share. And I'm still playing phone tag with Dan over at Poles Nursery on a similar agreement with him. So the village will pay and at least get reimbursed 2/3 of it as of now, but it's likely we'll get that other third. Just need to talk through that with Dan.
Is there any expectation on the part of the HOA that we're going to fix whatever their problems are?
No. That was my discussion with them last month, that we need to get a drainage system pipe functioning, and this effort will be to diagnose and uncover what needs to be done with that. It's a private pipe, and depending on where the damage, blockage, deterioration, etc. is of the drain tile, if we find any, depending on whose property that is, that'll be the next discussion.
Thank you.
And then the other thing, the berm is coming down over at the Grove. They started yesterday, and they were able to get a lot of work done again today, even though there was a brief shot of rain earlier this afternoon. So one of the first operations that they were doing is they were taking dirt from the side closest to Route 53 and moving it towards the parking lot. So everything was going well, and we look to have that done probably by the end of next week as far as the actual grading of it, and we'll see that nice straw blanket out there. So moving well.
When they take any fill off-site, will we know where it's going?
We will not know where it's going. It is their responsibility to have that properly disposed.
Maybe Jenny can have somebody follow them like she did when it was being built.
I'm on it, Bobby. I'll just follow the trucks.
There you go. I knew you would.
So the last item is the Route 22 widening project. This was probably a couple months ago that President Jacob, Trustee O'Connor, Manager Balling, and myself met with IDOT, and they were looking for some direction on the retaining wall finish. There's over 18,000 square foot of retaining wall that will be visible, square foot face, so length, width added up for all the retaining walls. I did get everything loaded onto the Google Drive for the retaining wall information. So that is there, and I wanted to kind of run through it a little bit tonight, just to kind of have the initial discussion. But like I said, the state is going to be looking for direction from the village on this retaining wall finish.
Is there anything you want me to bring up, Jeff? Because I did.
If you can bring up my memo, and I'll walk through that because it's got some
Is that
pictures
the
on it
Word
as well.
document that says rustic finishes?
It's a PDF 5000.028 retaining wall option summary.
Okay, got it. Yep, I have it. Let me share it. Can you see it?
All right, I can see it.
Yep.
So there's going to be a lot of retaining walls for this project. 18,000 square foot face. That's a lot. There's 10 different walls, and they're all quite large. So scroll down just a little bit, Bill. So in our meeting with IDOT, they told us that their standard is one of these two pictures here. One is a rustica finish of a retaining wall. It's just kind of vertical striations. This is similar to the retaining wall that's in front of the Valley Bunyan property on Route 83. The other item that is standard for IDOT is an ashlar form liner. So the picture on the right, this is actually a form liner, and then they put the concrete in it. When they take the form liner off, this is what it looks like. It's certainly different than the form liner used for the bridge, but it's the same concept that was used for the bridge abutment project. So I had a lot of questions on that, and Bill, if you can scroll down just a little bit to the table here, because we had some discussions about, hey, here's your two options, how about something else? And with that something else, what is the cost implications to the village? So I'll walk through this table here. So from left to right, you've got the original design. IDOT had proposed that they were going to use the form liner, the ashlar pattern, for cut walls only. Okay, cut walls are those walls where you're going to see them if you're driving on the road. I mentioned that there's 18,000 square foot face of wall. It's not quite half and half, but about half of the walls you'll see if you're driving the road. The other half is what is referred to as a fill wall, and those will be visible by the residents on the adjoining or adjacent properties. Okay, so form liner on the cut walls is what IDOT proposed originally. No color treatment, and that was going to be at their cost of $209,000. We got $209,000. IDOT cost was $209,000. Village cost for that option was $0. Per our discussion, IDOT came back and they said, hey, we'll put this form liner on all walls. So that way, you know, so even the walls that are viewable, visible by the residents, you're still going to see something, you know, more decorative rather than a stark concrete wall. So that increased the cost to $376,000, and IDOT agreed that that cost would all be borne by them, and village cost would again be $0. A couple of the ideas that we discussed at our meeting that IDOT provided some pricing for, moving on to alternate number 2, is the form liner with the ashlar pattern. You know, instead of, you know, just a straight gray concrete and then gray concrete bricks, how about putting a stain on those bricks, if you will, or what appear to be bricks, after it's done, to make it a little bit more decorative. Bill, if you can scroll down just a little bit, the picture on the left there on Quentin Road, that's a great example of what I'm referring to here. So that's a form liner, and after the form liner was removed, they put different colors of stain on the different blocks to give it more of a decorative finish.
Is there a maintenance issue to the staining?
So I'm going to get into that.
Okay, I'll wait.
So the staining adds a cost to the retaining walls. Total cost $506,000. IDOT would pick up the first $376,000, which is the total for alternate one, and the village cost for that option would be $129,710. Now, these are the numbers that IDOT provided to me. I'm sure they're subject to change, so this is where we're at today. Alternate number 3, a stone veneer. This is similar to what was installed in front of the visitor center as part of the old McHenry Road project. This is actually a concrete retaining wall, and then it's exactly as the name suggests, stones are then affixed to the face of the wall. That jumps the cost for all the retaining walls to almost 1.37 million. The IDOT would pick up the first 376,000, and then the remaining 991,000 would be the village responsibility. Okay. Couple other options that we talked about. Option 4. This is similar to that option number 2, but we're adding staining and anti-graffiti. So anti-graffiti is just kind of another clear coat on the top. That way, should anything happen to the wall, you can scrub it off just a little bit easier. Scrolling down through the numbers, that's a total cost of $561,000. Grass tax to the village, $185,300. And then the last option that I asked IDOT about was, how about the stone veneer then with that same clear anti-graffiti treatment? Just going down to the bottom line number, that's $1 million cost adder to the village. So,
Hey, Jeff?
Yeah.
Jeff, could you actually take 185, subtract 129 and come up with what anti-graffiti would be for these options over here? Because they didn't give us that. What if you just wanted to go with the form liner with, no staining, but you want anti-graffiti? Can you take these two numbers and?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what that is. So I can do that.
So that's like what, $60 or $55,000, something like that?
56.
56?
Yeah. 185 minus 130 rough numbers. That'd be, yeah, you're exactly right. So about 55,000.
Yep.
To put the
Okay.
anti-graffiti. So, so Bobby, your question is on point, because I had the same question of IDOT of, hey, how's the maintenance responsibility of this work? So IDOT, with either the original design or the alternate design, zero cost to the village, and all the responsibility of the wall, maintenance, cleaning, all of that is IDOT's. If the village adds anything to the wall, which is staining or the anti-graffiti, it'll be their responsibility to maintain that finish. IDOT will still be responsible for the structural integrity of the wall. That will always be their responsibility. But if something decorative gets put on it, like, the color or the anti-graffiti, it'll be the village's responsibility to maintain that.
My
So,
question was more,
Yeah.
is there a maintenance issue with the staining?
Sure. Okay. Yep. So the staining of the wall, nothing lasts forever, unfortunately. So that comes off, and it's usually a 10-year cycle that those get restained. The anti-graffiti, I don't know how often that needs to get put back on, but certainly a valid question and something that needs to get answered before a final determination can be made. So that's kind of the ballpark where the costs are coming in. Now, I was talking to Trustee O'Connor earlier this afternoon, and these are all the walls for these various options. How about mixing and matching or things like that, which I think IDOT, I'm assuming, would be agreeable to, but I can ask that question. Say, for example, there's a big wall at the northeast corner of Old McHenry Road and Route 22. Perhaps that's a focal piece wall, and maybe that one, the village wants a different treatment to that just because it's going to be more highly visible. Just throwing that out there for, going down my thought process. So the IDOT had, and scroll the other way, Bill, if you would, given us some examples of the staining, which was on the upper left here, kind of out of the picture, but with Quentin Road. They also have done some similar walls that we could look at Wyland, Washington Street, and that one in the upper right. Bill, if you could scroll up just a little bit, that one's at Wilson and Nippersink. So that's where we are right now. I also asked IDOT, how about, in internal coloring of the concrete, going back to the bridge abutment project as an example, that concrete was actually colored what was called buff to be more natural looking in the concrete truck before it was applied. That has no maintenance concern to it and gives you a little bit better natural look, or whatever color you want to make it. IDOT was really prompt of responding to the different questions that I had until here about a week and a half ago. I think our contact at IDOT may have been out of the office, but still chasing down that question as well. So that's a summary of the information that I've gotten to date. I wanted to take some time just to kind of walk through it a little bit and get some initial questions. Some of them I may be able to answer. Some of them I may need to go back to IDOT, but want to keep the discussion moving if we could.
Hey, Jeff.
If I could ask one really naive question, if you can answer it reasonably quickly, then I'll ask it, or you can answer it. Why is there so much retaining wall?
So, yeah, I don't know if I can easily answer that. I do know the answer to it. Basically, one big reason is they're reprofiling the road. They're changing how that road drives, mainly to raise the elevation in the lowest spot, which is probably about a half a mile east of Kruger. There's floodplain over there. They want to protect their new road against flooding, so they're raising the road. That's one of the reasons. And with raising the road, you try to lower it in other areas so that you get what's known as an earth balance, so you don't have to transport material on or off the site to save costs. So those are a couple of the primary reasons.
Is some of it saving trees? Is any of it?
I would say that that's not a consideration from IDOT.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Jeff, I just have a really dumb question for you. You said if we do the anti-graffiti, then we're responsible for maintaining the walls. Wouldn't the state want to do anti-graffiti?
I asked them that question, and it's not their standard. I know the county, that's their standard, but the state is not. So
I mean, a little bit of money that costs them if we just went base, options here that that would cost them a whole bunch more if something happened, right? This is interesting.
So, no, great point, and just kind of thinking ahead a little bit. If it turns into, hey, we like, similar to your other question, hey, the form liner, but put the anti-graffiti on there. IDOT may have a different response, or that could be a negotiation point.
Are you looking for the board to comment on, if they felt that, the standard material look, either these blocks that are fake limestone or whatever this is, the rustica finish is acceptable, or if the board wants to, which spend money we don't have, to do stone veneer walls, or what are you looking for us
Okay,
to
so
do?
great way to wrap this up. So I am looking for is either of the IDOT standards going to be acceptable to the village, which would either be the rustica or the ashlar form liner, both at zero cost to the village. And then the next question would be, does the village want to invest in a more decorative finish to any of the retaining walls proposed as part of the project? So I know I'm hitting cold with a lot of this information tonight, but if there's any initial thoughts, I'm glad to hear them. But if they trickle in over the next couple of weeks, that's fine too.
Any comments or any thoughts right now?
I like the rustica. I think it's just gonna disappear, but I'm not a big fan of the ashlar. It looks fake, but.
Jeff, do you remember in what instance they said that the wrought iron is on top of the retaining wall? Was that along the bike paths that weren't as deep as some of the other walls?
Okay, so on the south side of the roadway widening, there's going to be the bike path, and there's a lot of retaining walls on that side of the road as well. And in the locations where there's a retaining wall with the bike path, they've got a parapet wall, is what they called it, on top of the wall, and then they've also got one on the outside of the bike path. The parapet wall is basically a tube railing wall, which is about 2.5 feet high. And the details that they have at this point don't specify the color. I would imagine it'll be black. And then the wall on the south side of the bike path is similar, but it's higher, so that it offers some fall protection.
So it's only on if you're headed east, it's on the far right side of the bike path. That's on the south side. Yeah. Okay.
I guess I'm
like
offsetting.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Bobby.
Beth.
I like the ashlar with the staining on it.
I was going to say I'm sorry to oppose Jenny, but the rustica, to me, it already looks dirty in the example picture.
It looks moldy.
So it looks like the dirt is coming down from the topsoil on top of it.
It seems to me it's a really rough, cheap finish, and it traps all kinds of dirt and debris and smoke and all that stuff.
Chris, you're quiet.
The question is, where do we get the money from?
Well, we do have a little bit of
I love stone veneer, $1 million. Let's go. I mean,
No, 129,
ashlar.
185. Yeah.
I vote for ashlar, Bill. I think it's fine. Whether or not we go with staining or not, I think we could decide that later. We can find some money.
Okay.
Remember, this is like 5 years out.
And we'll have Quentin to watch how their finish seasons.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, because they just got that done. Well, it's went through one winter, but we shall see exactly.
And the maintenance on that, Jeff, is, I mean, they're putting the stain in the mixer. So the whole thing is that, I mean, it's that color on the outside and the inside.
That's not what he said.
So the staining that that's on this and reflective in these costs is, applied after
Oh, I
the
see.
form liners up.
I gotcha.
If the village wanted to color the concrete and not put the stain, similar to the bridge abutment, that'd be another variation or option here.
I thought you were gonna say it's a community project. We'd stain the bricks ourselves.
There you go.
That could get interesting.
Certainly be interesting. Yep.
Yeah, but would IDOT allow it? It's their property.
Oh, no, I was just purely joking. That would be so dangerous and crazy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I can just see people not doing it right. And you got some walls that are 8 feet, which is, I still have a question about how we can shorten a few of those, but
I think that's a really good point, Bill. Because malls are going through that area are gonna be really ugly, no matter what we do to them. In contrast to the trees that we've looked at for many years.
yeah, that was the one thing we just asked you, Jeff, I think a few meetings ago. Is there anything they can do to, shrink some of the walls? I mean,
Yeah, so they're going through their final design again. So that request has been passed on to them.
okay, good.
How will wildlife cross the road?
Certainly not going to be as easy as it is today.
Well, I suppose IDOT doesn't care about that either.
So it sounds like there's at least some consensus to go with the ashlar. Am I okay to let IDOT know that so they can continue their final design?
Let's go through. Rita, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with it. Jeff and I, when we talked earlier, we talked about a combination of perhaps, and I do not have the eye of an artist, but we talked about something perhaps more decorative at the intersections and or interspersed, like over a half mile, where you have, for example, like a third of a mile with the ashlar, and then a third of it with the decorative and third with the ashlar, kind of along the route, and or mixing at the intersections. And the only way I can visualize stuff like that is drive all over Lake County on IDOT roads trying to find what other villages and cities have used.
All right, so you're.
But I'm okay with the ashlar. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Jenny, you are not, but would you be okay with it or not? You are a Rustica fan. And you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't like the ashlar, but I am the minority. I go with the majority. I'm fine.
And then Bobby, you were the ashlar, right?
Yes.
Ann, you were the same, correct?
Yes.
And Chris was a yes on that too. So I think it's just the staining is the only, does that have to be decided now? Probably not, right?
No, that doesn't need to be decided now, and I'll get a little bit more information on that. Let IDOT know of the discussion tonight and keep that moving forward. So I thank you for indulging me and the discussion about it. So with that, I'll say end of report unless there's any questions.
The only thing I'd like to do, there's an ant, that's not good. That's bad. The only thing I'd like to do that's fun working at home is ask a question about the Shiloh Drive berm. Is that the property where all the trees were being cut down? that they're not putting a
Yes.
berm?
Okay, so that is the same property. They cut down all the trees. They want to build a berm, and they contacted me and asked me what they needed to do for that. And they certainly need to, from an engineering perspective, dot all the i's, cross all the t's for the stormwater ordinance. So that's what I'm waiting for them to submit on that. And as far as other approvals from Village Hall, maybe you know, if maybe Bill Balling would be able to opine on that. I don't know if there's any.
We want to keep a close eye on it. That's all.
Correct.
Okay. Caught my attention.
Got it.
Any other comments on that? All right, thank you for your report.
right.
Now it's time for public comment. Is there anyone that would like to make any public comment? I don't think we received any written comments.
No, did not.
All right, silence means there is none. So I would be looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, pending, threatened litigation, as well as disposition and acquisition of property, right?
Can I remind you, Bill, that our agenda calls for a decision on the part of the board to go beyond 9 o'clock. It used to be 10 o'clock, I believe, when it was first created many years ago. But I really think we need to get into the habit so that we know that we're going beyond what we say we're going to do.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. And I've been doing my best to try to keep the agenda short. So, but I hear you. Are you okay though if we go into executive session tonight?
Well, I just think I don't have it in front of me as to what it says. If the entire board agrees to go beyond 9 o'clock, we have to be in agreement to do it. I assume we are, but I just think it's one more little push towards getting a more reasonable agenda.
Okay, let's.
Or, of course, the outrageous idea of having an additional committee of the whole meeting.
Okay, so is everyone okay to go into executive session tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, can we
Go
keep
past
it
9
tight,
o'clock.
please?
Yes, we need to. We got a night tomorrow night too.
Bill, technically, it is not to go into executive
Okay,
session. It is
it's
to go beyond 9 o'clock.
Is everyone okay to go beyond 9 o'clock? Yes or no?
Yes.
9:36.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Okay, to go beyond 9:36. But 9 o'clock is the agenda states. Bobby brings up a great point. So everyone's okay with that? If yes,
Yes.
then I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So move.
Moved by trustee O'Reilly,
Second.
seconded by trustee Kritzmeyer. Roll call, please.
Trustee Borowski,
Sure, why not? Yes.
trustee Kritzmeyer,
Yes.
trustee O'Reilly,
Yes.
trustee O'Connor,
Yes.
trustee Micho.
Yes.
Bill, I
Yes.
hate to be a pain in the ass, but could you take that off the screen now?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. You're not being a pain. I'm trying to multitask and get ready for the executive session meeting. So, all right, we're now going to transport you into executive session. Vic, we do need you, I think, for a moment on that, right?
Yep.
Bill, do you need me tonight?
No, Jeff, I
Okay.
don't think we need you.
All right. Well, with that, I will say have a good rest of the meeting and an enjoyable night.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good
All right.
night, Jeff.
Good night.
Denise, we don't need you in executive session either.
Right. Good night.
Good night,
Good
Helen.
night.
We can
Good
let you
night.
go as well. So, good night. Helen, you leaving? All right, I'm going to put everyone into executive session. We're almost there.
While we're waiting, can I ask a fast question?
Sure.
We used to get IML magazines from IML every month or every 2 months, whatever it was. I haven't seen one since the pandemic started.
They're coming. Are they in people's mail slots? Where's Bill?
I don't even know that I have a mail slot. For
You
all
do.
oh my God, so I got probably 10 of those things
You
stacked.
probably do. Hey, Bill?
I
Bill,
had
you-
no idea either.
Bill,
No idea.
They are,
Are the-
they are virtual. They
yeah,
are
Bill,
virtual because
you're
I looked them
muted.
up for budget stuff.
Got it.
Where's my mail slot?
Yeah,
Where's my mail slot?
Yeah, really.
There's
Who's
all the
got a mail
IML
slot?
publications for the trustees. Where are those going?
I didn't hear the question, Bill.
The IML publications, they usually come to the village, and they used to be put in paper board packet. When we went electronic, that stopped.
mm.
Now I go in the village hall and I see one in my mail slot under my
Yeah,
name, but where do
yeah.
all the trustees go? Where do
That's
theirs
a
go?
good question. I'll find out.
They
Yeah, 'cause
are-
Okay.
it's part
they
of
are-
our subscription.
They are online. They are online in PDF.
Yeah, but we get I'm almost sure we get a printed version. I just
You
haven't
do.
seen them.
I don't know where they go. Who put them? I didn't,
Yeah.
they're not in my mail slot, so.
All right, move to adjourn.
Moved by
It was
trustee
right under
Borowski,
Second.
Second.
seconded
Oh,
by trustee
Okay,
Kritzmeyer. Roll
trustee
call, please.
Borowski.
Aye.
Wait, that was, that was trustee Borowski. And who seconded that?
And
Kritzmeyer.
Okay. They are on the shelf under you. I was on mute. I was trying to say this. And they had been, I pulled like 3 months out when I was there a couple months back. So there's probably 6 months for all you guys under your shelf, unless Sherry moved them because they got too bulky.
What
Bill, you
shelf?
want to take them to the Mundaline Village Hall tomorrow?
What shelf?
what shelf? And why not a phone call that says, hey, you got a crap load of mail sitting here, somebody pick it up.
I've never seen a shelf.
It's where.
And I like reading those, so, you know.
In case you're wondering,
Okay.
Ann, a shelf is usually one of these structures that has several layers. You can-
Okay, aye. I'm voting aye.
Let's take the roll call, Amy. Thank you for that.
Trustee Kritzmeyer,
Yes.
trustee O'Reilly.
She left.
Oh, okay. Trustee O'Connor,
Aye.
trustee Micho.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, meeting adjourned. Good night.
Good
See you tomorrow.
night,
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
Stay well.